Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks so much for listening on every imaginable and available podcast platform in America. Thanks for watching on YouTube as well if you're out there. Please go over there, like the channel, the YouTube channel, and subscribe to me on your podcast platforms. They're all out there available. Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, you name it, we're out there. It's been a lot of fun. Do me a favor and subscribe to me wherever you like to listen, and on YouTube as well. Feel free to leave a comment. Make it nice. You can give me constructive criticism. Just be polite about it. Well, The Right Side with Doug Billings. And there are some serious things that we need to talk about with regards to what the Democratic Party has become, and yet still, to my friends in that party, to reach out and try to find some commonality and try to find some things that we can agree about, because your blue states, the ones that are led by the New Democratic Socialist Party, you're on fire. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how your Democratic Party is now gone. It really doesn't exist anymore. We'll talk about the New Democratic Socialist Party, the riots, how Trump, whether or not you like him or hate him, is the only thing stopping us from anarchy. The only thing that stands between us and utter, complete chaos is him, like it or not. And then we'll talk about some of the good news that's going out in the country. And believe it or not, there's plenty of good news out there, believe me. There really is. But it's now absolutely clear that the blue states, by the way, blue states means that they're led by the Democratic Party, the New Democratic Socialist Party. For those of you from Raytown, Missouri, I just want to make sure you understand that. Thank you very much. The New Democratic Socialist Party is out there. They're in control, and their leaders are allowing the riots, the arson, and the looting, the illegal occupation, the rape, and the murder of innocent people to continue. So they're in control of these cities, the blue cities. And you'll notice that, and words are important, and evidence of the obvious is sufficient, that there are no Republican-led cities that are on fire, in chaos, and falling apart. None. Zero. And that's just the plain truth. But you have to understand now, we're at a point where the New Democratic Socialist Party leadership wants the chaos. They want it to continue. They have no desire at all to stop it. Otherwise, they would have. They would have. They want this to be a political movement against President Trump. It's that simple. You can't not see that. I've said it from the beginning, and now mainstream political conservative talk show hosts and commentators are jumping on my bandwagon. They're agreeing with me. It's dawning on everyone that these New Democratic Socialist Party leaders want this entire situation weaponized. They have no desire, none, to help the innocent people whose businesses have been burned to the ground, whose homes have been firebombed, and whose very lives have been lost, assaulted, raped, etc. They want the anarchy to continue. They want to weaponize it, and they know that gaining power is their primary ultimatum, their primary goal, and especially the power of the presidency. So you see, it's their hope that all of this becomes a revolution in the very truest sense of that word. They want the revolution. They've said it since the beginning of this whole administration. You remember when President Trump was elected, the whole resist movement and the marches that took place? This is them. It's the same people. They didn't burn us then because they really weren't sure how to go about it. But the New Democratic Party, the New Democratic Socialist Party, has given them the recipe. First, they begin with the entire COVID-19 misinformation campaign. Let's create a lot of chaos and fear about a virus. Let's give them false information and claim that at the beginning every hospital was overrun. Oh my God, it's like the zombie apocalypse. Doug, I've never seen anything like it. You know what? I helped manage and administer 35 hospitals, 3 of them in New York, and nobody ever saw anything being overran. And we gave them huge new medical centers, the Javits Center, an auditorium converted into a hospital, treated 200 people, then it shut down. The Navy medical ship Comfort sails into port, capable of treating hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. 265 people treated, not even for COVID, and the ship is ordered to go elsewhere. Why? Because there was never a pandemic in the United States with regards to with COVID-19. A pandemic is defined as a virus that takes and wipes out almost all of the population. And the COVID-19 virus has never even touched 1% of us. And for those that it does touch, 99% of them recover from it. Now, God help you if you've got a pre-existing condition, but God help you from the flu or from getting, a staph infection. The COVID misinformation campaign was the primary, the elixir of all of this. The panic, the shutdown, the quarantine of the healthy, let's shut down all of the places where people go to blow off steam and to have fun, restaurants, bars, nightclubs, movie theaters, and then summer came and swimming pools were not going to be opened. And then what they needed to wait for, what they were hoping for was the spark to ignite this entire thing, and that was George Floyd. These riots have never been about George Floyd. Don't be fooled. They want a revolution. And you know what? I challenge any blue state leader out there, any mayor, any governor, any city council member, any state senator, any state representative in their Congress or in the state House or the state Senate to come forward and please denounce the violence. Stand with President Trump, either in reality or figuratively. Stand with him. Put out a statement. If President Trump's not going to be in your neighborhood this week, put out a statement and say that you denounce the violence. Send in the National Guard. Send in more police. Stop the violence, blue state leaders. But you won't. You will not answer my challenge. You won't do a darn thing to stop it. You don't want to have anything to do with anything at all that might give anybody the impression that you agree with President Trump, especially from an elected official. Remember, the Democratic Party no longer exists. We now have the new Democratic Socialist Party. It's not led by Nancy Pelosi. It's not led by Chuck Schumer or any of that old guard. No, it's not. It's completely held in control by people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, who isn't even an American. She wasn't even born here. Ayanna Pressley and Rashid Tlaib. The issue is so important to us right now, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to elected officials. We have to get the House of Representatives back, keep the Senate and keep the presidency, and enact laws that prevent anybody who is not born in the United States to ever holding elected office in this country. It's come to that. These people want to rewrite the American dream into the Marx dream, Karl Marx and socialism. We have to draw an unmovable line in the sand that says this is enough, and these anarchists who would replace our government with socialism have got to be stopped. This is real, and it's well beyond blaming President Trump, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the point where we need to speak directly to the people who don't like President Trump, those people that still have a little bit of intellectual maturity within them and reasonable common sense. We have to appeal to their love of the republic as it was founded by the founders, the framers. I mean, you can't seriously think, for example, that Joe Biden, with his very real cognitive deterioration, is the answer. His gaffes have become much more beyond just comical and and here and there and every once in a while. They're every day, and they're deep and they're disturbing, and it's sad. So for those of you that hate the president, put your disdain of his tweets aside. Put your disdain for his personality aside. Put your disdain for his hair aside. Put aside whatever color you think his skin is aside for a moment, please, and turn towards your patriotism and your love for this republic as it was founded. We were never intended to be socialists. We're intended to be capitalists. Capitalists and capitalism have brought more people out of poverty than any other system in the history of mankind. Respect the founders for that and turn away from the new Democratic Socialist Party. We were never intended to be anarchists. We're intended to be negotiators, good-mannered and collegial. Respect the founders for that. That's what they espoused, and reject and turn away from the new Democratic Socialist Party. We were never intended to burn our neighbors' homes and businesses down, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it's the exact opposite that the founders intended and wanted. We're called to help rebuild our neighbors' churches, our neighbors' businesses and homes and barns and whatever else. We're called to rebuild. So respect and turn towards the founders and away from the New Democratic Socialist Party with regards to that as well. And we're not supposed to burn and tear down our history. We're supposed to preserve it, honor it, and learn from it. Respect the founders for that, and turn away from the New Democratic Socialist Party with regards to that. So I'm imploring all of you logical and clear-thinking Americans to turn away from the chaos. Reject it. Demand that your elected local officials not only speak up against it, but they actually do something to protect you from it. They've got to take action to stop the chaos. This has got to be the point at which common sense Americans, common sense people like you, get to the point where we become patriots together. Whether you've been a lifelong Republican or a lifelong Democrat, join together in commonality to fight against the New Democratic Socialist Party, which has now successfully divorced itself from the American Republic. How, you say? How? What do you mean, Doug? How have they divorced themselves from the American Republic? They've done it through burning and fire, ladies and gentlemen. That's how they've divorced themselves from the American Republic. It's through the violent destruction of neighborhoods and occupations of cities that they've divorced themselves from the American Republic. It's through the violent destruction of businesses, the murder, the rape of innocent people that they've divorced themselves from the American Republic. It's well beyond being chaos. It's anarchy. It's evil. They're no longer an American political party, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have any desire at all to save what our founders created, you simply have got to turn away. You've got to turn away from the chaos. Turn away from the New Democratic Socialist Party, which is the beginning and the starting and the impetus of the chaos. Despite your personal disdain for President Trump, and I know some of you have it, country before self. The only thing that stands in our way from allowing the anarchy and the chaos to continue is Donald Trump, like him or hate him. And if you're someone who is repulsed to give the president any credit at all about anything, you're going to have to reach deep. I'm going to count on you to reach deep into your sensibility and see and compare the founders to the New Democratic Socialist Party. Compare them, because the New Democratic Socialist Party is like a demon or one of those necromancers that feeds on fear and evil and chaos, and they want you to live in fear and chaos and anarchy, because it's then that you become afraid, and when you're afraid, you can be controlled. They've despised our Constitution forever. They don't like it because it limits government. It limits their ability to control you, the Constitution does. And if you don't believe it, look again at the blue states that are led by members of the New Democratic Socialist Party. Can you imagine it? Not sending in the National Guard to quell an uprising where murder and rape and occupation and burning of businesses is taking place. Not sending in more police, but then rather considering to defund the police. And today, this very day in Minneapolis, they've actually voted to disband the entire police department. We're going to see how that turns out for them. They want to dismantle the military. They are letting these leaders, the New Democratic Socialist Party leaders, are letting their people live in chaos, suffer anarchy, riots, looting, rape, and murder on purpose, because they want this to become the revolution that makes Trump irrelevant. Nothing that they've thrown against the wall has stuck, after all, has it? The primary purpose of the government is to protect the people and guard their liberty, their rights, and their freedom. When any government, whether it's local or national, does not protect you, then they've got to go. They've got to be voted out of office. And every one of the New Democratic Socialist Party members who leads these cities, the ones that are on fire, have failed their most basic and sacred oath to defend and protect the Constitution. The Constitution demands that elected officials protect us. Where is your protection in Seattle? Sleepless in Seattle has an entirely new meaning now, doesn't it? Members of the New Democratic Socialist Party have never honored the Constitution. They have at last finally found their moment. They have their moment now where they can ignore it and allow our cities to burn and our citizens to suffer, so that at the end, they can, they hope, have more control. Now, that all sounds pretty damn terrible, and it is. But there's good news out there, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of good news. The good news primarily is that the numbers of people who realize that all of this is chaos, this anarchy, that they believe that this rioting, looting, murder, rape is wrong, we are in the majority by far. It's not even close. The tearing down of statues. The vast majority of Americans, no matter who the statue is, thinks the statue should stand and remain. The people who are leaving the Democratic Party, the former Democratic Party, those numbers are at an all-time high. Most people aren't going to openly say that. They're not going to admit it. They're not going to announce it with hats and clothing and buttons and bumper stickers that, hey, I've left the Democratic Party. But they are. And that's the truth. In record numbers. There are many more people who see the evil, the treachery, the chaos of the new Democratic Socialist Party than those who believe in their platform. Their ideals, mark my words, their ideals will not become mainstream. The poll numbers that signal that Trump is way behind Biden is a joke, and they're wrong. We can get into the polling and how it's done, the numbers of people that they poll, their ages, the demographic, the way that they pose the questions. False. It's not true. The new Democratic Socialist Party leadership in these blue states, they think that they're bulletproof, inasmuch as they think that they can shut down and wreck their economies because they're so deeply blue, their states are, so deeply supportive that they think that they'll be reelected no matter what they do. Or more correctly, no matter what they don't do. Well, that's where they're wrong. So my appeal today is that the American Republic, as it's inspired by the divine providence of God himself, and how it was made to come true through the initiatives and the sacrifices and the heroism of the founders, is now openly represented by the Republican Party. That's my appeal to you, to realize that America is now only represented truly by the Republican Party. If you're a member of the former Democratic Party, you've got to have the strength to allow your party loyalties to die. You've got to reflect on our history, upon our founders, and the two paths that are really presented to us today. One is by the founders, their path of individual liberty and limited government, happiness, and the pursuit of prosperity to do whatever you want to do. And then the second pathway is put forth by the new Democratic Socialist Party is one of the loss of liberty and the loss of your freedoms to live in a constant state of perpetual fear and chaos. Those of you who have always despised our Constitution and our exceptionalism, in my opinion, will never take the first pathway. But I'm never going to give up trying to convince you. The pathway of freedom and liberty is that first path. And for you, the moment you've been waiting for, mob rule, our anarchy, and the burning of America is here, isn't it? But you're not in the majority. And that's the good news. Thankfully, you're never going to become mainstream. No matter what the media is showing us on TV, our republic is strong, and our citizens, the vast majority of them, are aware that the chaos and the burning of America is a continuation of the intellectually immature attempt to create a coup, to burden Trump, to cause any appearance that they think hurts him. What they fail to realize is that with all of those leaders of the new Democratic Socialist Party whose cities are burning or their economies are shut down, with every decisions they make, with every mandated mask rule, with every shutdown, when they allow riots, looting, burning, assault, rape, murder, anarchy, they all nudge us. They nudge us closer, and they nudge their blue state populations closer to the Republican Party. And in November, you're going to see the red wave. And I'm thinking states like California and others that are blue, Washington State, may well go red because we, the majority, have the common sense on our side, have the founders' principles of our republic in mind always. And the radicalism that you see, although it makes good TV according to some of the mainstream media, it's not true. And again, most of us in this country, the vast majority of us, love the republic as it is, as it's meant to be, and it's intended to be by the founders. And my hope for you all is that God continues to bless you and bless the United States. Thanks for watching The Right Side with Doug Billings. Believe it.